Hi, Founder Story. My name is Bruno Wogo, also known as the Einstein of Marketing. And this is my story of how I make about 100 million naira every year. So the year is 2020. I'm working in a gym on the island, earning about 40,000 naira a month. And I like the job. I won't lie, I like the job because I was just fresh from NYSC and I really thought that while I was working that job, because it was on the island and it had like a lot of rich people coming to the gym, that I would see somebody that was gonna, help my life and I'll meet my destiny helper. But things began to change April 1st. COVID hit, and now, you know, they asked us to go home. The government was like, everybody go home. It's called lockdown. Not bad, right? So I went home and I was like, okay, now everybody's at home. I was still getting paid like half of my salary, so like 20,000 every month. Now, things became serious. July 5th, 2020. I was on my way to church that Sunday morning because this was when the lockdown had started being relieved. And I was using an iPhone 7 then, all right? And this iPhone was a gift that a friend of mine gave me. It was everything I had. It was my most expensive item. And that was what the problem is because I'll talk about this later. So I took the iPhone and I was in the cab, Molue, and I was using the phone. I brought out the phone to check Twitter and, interact and all of that. And then it happened. As I brought out the phone to use and check my social media, somebody just came from the window and snatched the phone. And literally, I watched as the person just disappeared into the darkness because it was pretty early in the morning. It was not the loss of the phone that pained me, right? And of course, it was not the SIM card like people will say, right? But it was the fact that this was the third time in 2 years that my phone was being stolen. And in Nigeria, I would say something like, it'd be like they pursue you from house. Your village people, they do you. Meaning like, maybe there's some sort of voodoo and juju or stuff like that, right? Now, I remember, because this was the moment everything changed. Like, this was the defining moment. July 5th, 2020, when this phone was stolen, I was working with my friend and he saw all of this happen. And I remember, just walking to church, a lot of stuff was on my mind. I was like, why did that happen? Why did I sit down there? Why this? Why that? Why that? And then I asked myself the question that changed my life, or the question that led to what changed my life. I said, Bruno, what can you do right now that can make you money? And I thought hard about it. I thought really hard. And then I said, okay, let's ask this question in a better way. What exactly do wealthy people have? Because let me take you back to my time in the gym. You see, I used to watch these guys when they come into the gym and they would pay my 1 year salary as a gym subscription. And it will blow my mind. I'll be like, how is somebody able to drop my whole 1 year salary as a gym subscription? I thought maybe they were doing something that was out of the world. I was really hoping that somebody would come there and just tell me, Bruno, this is exactly how to make money. This is how all of this thing worked. And nobody did. Maybe if they had even told me, I probably wouldn't have taken it serious because I've tried for a lot of people and they never took it serious. So at this point, back to 2020, when my phone was stolen, July 5th, I was like, okay, what can I do right now that can make money? Or better rephrase, what is it that wealthy people have that makes them make money? And then I realized that there are at least two things. At least, I mean, you could name a lot of things, but you always boil down to two things. Number one is that the wealthy people have something of value. They have either a product or a skill, knowledge, expertise, something that is of value to somebody else. And number two, which I think is the most important one, is that they have a network or what you could call a distribution channel, what you could call an audience. They have that allows them to move this value and be of value to a lot more people. And it was at that moment I told myself that, you know what, I'm gonna be of value. So now I had the idea, but I still didn't know how to make it happen, right? And so prior to now, a couple of years back, way before all of this started, I literally swore that me, Bruno, will never do anything sales and marketing. Like the moment I see something, let's say a job role, and they're like sales and marketing, I'll just know that it's not for me. In my mind, I'll just be like, it's not for me, it's not my own. Right? Because I had a very bad experience growing up about, I tried to sell newspaper for my pastor. I'll go on the streets. I was literally selling newspaper. It's not like I needed to. I just wanted to do something, and it was so terrible. Like people were looking at me with pity. The sun was so hot. And then I saw other people, other marketers that were walking on the road, their shoe is dusty, it's chopped. Like whenever I thought of marketing, that was the picture that came to my mind. Somebody wearing an oversized suit with oversized shoes that is dusty, walking on the road. And so it was such a terrible picture that I told myself, this job is never for me. And so look at it, ironically now, right? My name is literally called the Einstein of marketing. And you understand how that journey came about. But I swore I would never do marketing until a few years ago when I was in school, a few years later when I was in school, university, a friend of mine gave me a couple of books because he wanted to kind of like clear out his hard drive. So he gave me a couple of books, a lot of them. I don't remember 80% of them. I just remember two books. One of them was by Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. I tried to read it, but it was really, really difficult. So I paused and said I'll come back to it. But the one that I could not put down was Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. And I fell in love with it. It was there, reading that book was like being handed a magical power. And I did not realize it at that moment, but that was when the seed of, understanding marketing was planted. So now fast forward to 2020, right? I'm at that moment where I said, what am I going to do? I hate sales and marketing, but I want to make money. We're in a pandemic, so I cannot look for a job, right? The only way I can make money is to be of value. So what exactly am I going to do? And then just out of nowhere, like it was like the right time. The right time. My friend just texted me. She's like, hey Bruno, would you be interested in an online business? And I'm like, what online business? She's like, yeah, it's a business where you get to sell other people's products and you make money. You don't have to go there. Yeah, like you can make money from home. I was like, make money from home? I was like, yeah. I was like, what's the business model? And then she told me, and she mentioned the word, my heart sunk. Affiliate marketing. I was like, oh my God. Is it only marketing that I can use to make money? But you know the difference between the Bruno at this point and the Bruno who said he would never do anything sales or marketing. Do you want to know the difference? You probably know the difference. It's that the Bruno who said he would never do any sales and marketing was not at the point in his life where his phone had been stolen 3 times. He was in a pandemic and he needed to make money. So at this time, even though I said I was not going to do it, the environment and circumstances around me had changed. And so for the first time, I was willing to listen to it and like, okay, tell me about it. And then she told me about the business model, all of that. I was like, okay. So I was like, you know what? I don't really care at this point, right? I'm going to ask you one question. I told her, I'm just going to ask you one question. That's going to determine if I'm going to even consider this at all. I told her, my friend Oge, how much have you made? Oge was like, I've not taken it serious. I've just been using it here and there and there. Like, I said, Oge, that's not my business. That's not the question I asked you. How much have you made? And she paused. She was like, I was like, I'm not taking this thing serious. I was beginning to get upset. I was like, okay, how much have you made? Okay, I was like, I've made 100K. I nearly fell out of my seat. I said, okay, you have made 100,000 naira online and you've not taken it serious. I said, that's all. I said, that's all. That is all. Just tell me what it is. And so, I paid for the program. It was about 40K. So it was like a month's salary. And then it got started, right? You won't know what's interesting. I bought that program on the 11th of July, 2020. I remember all the dates. I did not open it till the 20th of July, simply because I said I did not understand marketing. I did not want to do marketing. But the day I opened it and I started listening to, and I started going through the course, the guy was like, the teacher who happened to be my mentor later on was like, write down a letter to yourself. Write down how much you want to make. So my goal was that, you know what, I was already making about, 20,000 naira, right? Or 40,000 naira salary. I was like, okay, if I do 10 times 40,000 naira a month, I will be the happiest man. If I do 10 times 20,000 naira, that's 200K in a month. Like, this will be life-changing money for me. That was it. So I wrote down 200,000 naira every month. By the end of the year, I should have made 1 million naira. So whatever wants to happen should happen. I don't even care if, quote unquote, it crashes, because that was my mindset. Oh, what if it crashes? You want to guess how much I made in the first month? I mean, take a guess. Like, just take a guess. My goal was to make 200K every single month. By the end of the year, I'll have made 1 million altogether. In the first month, from someone who hated marketing, right? Who hated marketing, who didn't like it, who didn't feel like this was for him. I made 1 million naira in my first month. To show you that it was not a fluke, I did it again the second month. I did it again the third month. By the time I did the third month, I was the first person on the platform, the affiliate marketing platform, to win a car. And that was like what just made everybody realize that this was something that was actually sustainable. And that was when it dawned on me that, wait a minute, Bruno, like 1 million is what a lot of people don't even make as a back then, right? And now you're doing it every single month. The best part is you're doing it from your home without having to go around and beg anybody and do all of that. You're also doing it on the internet legally. It was at that moment that everything changed. And ever since then, I just simply doubled down on it and I went full on into it. So before I tell you about how I made my first 1 million, let me tell you how I made my first money ever online, my first naira or dollar. It was 2,250 because I sold a product of 7,500. The commission was 30%. And it was through WhatsApp. I posted on my WhatsApp status. Somebody saw it, was interested, and boom, they bought. And I remember thinking when I saw the alert, like, you just made a sale, 2,250 commission, congratulations. I was like, are you shitting me? Like, literally, like that. I just sent a product, the person liked it, the person bought it. So it was then I was like, okay. And then I sold the same product to another person, right? And then the person bought it. I was like, okay, nice. This actually makes sense. Then one part of my mind was like, Bruno, why are you playing small? Like, why are you selling like, 7.5 product? Why not sell something more expensive? So I was like, okay, I'm going to sell a 40K product. And then I sold it. And then I sold it again. And then I sold it again. And then by the end of the month, I think I had sold, because the 40K product was giving like a 50% commission. So for every time I sold the 40K product, I was getting 20K. By the end of the month, I had sold like 50 of it. And that was how I made my first 1 million in that month. So in my opinion, the first 10 million is probably like the hardest. People say 1 million. I think like 1 million. Maybe because I made it, it was easy for me. All right. But the first 10 million is actually the hardest. Once you've done like 10 million, something just changes about you, right? Now, for me, so I started with, affiliate marketing, and then I went to selling my own information products. But in the process of that, I realized something, which was that, and again, it's something I've told most of my friends who are affiliate marketers, told students of mine who are affiliate marketers. The problem is that, you see, most people go from beginner to business model. And I'm going to be really frank with you. When I started affiliate marketing, it was at the right time. People were in a pandemic, people were in lockdown, and they needed an opportunity to make money online. But right now, the market has kind of like sophisticated. That means that there are a lot of other people who are selling such products on the market. So it's not as easy as it was when I started. In fact, when I started, I told you, like the week I started was the week I started making money. By the end of that month, I'd already made 1 million. It's very, very difficult for most people to start and make the first 1 million in the first month of the first business they're doing when they don't like the business model. So my case was like really rare. And that's why I don't usually like to, tell people about myself and say, okay, because I did it, you can do it. Yes, you can do it, but you might not get the results the same way I did it, right? So what I decided and what I found to be a more sustainable path was for people to start with learning the skills needed to actually grow their business online. And that means that you want to learn what's called a high income skill. You want to learn things like copywriting, lead generation, video editing, skills like this that you can offer to somebody that will be of value to them. I chose to learn high ticket sales because I realized that if I could build an audience and if I could sell expensive products and services, I would literally be able to live life on my own terms. And that's literally all it has been for me, to live life on my own terms. And now to do 10 million naira, I just need to do $15,000 in sales. And I can easily do that by selling either a $5,000 product to three people, get commissions of selling a 10K product to one person. I get $1,000. I do that for 15 people, and that's $15,000 in a month. Or you could sell something much more expensive. It's much more easier than many people think. There are challenges to it, but if I sell a product of $1,000, I get probably $100 commission, 10%. If I sell a product of $5,000, I get 500%, $500 commission. And you do that for 30 people, that's already $15,000 in a month. If you multiply that, convert that to Naira, then you know how much that is. So I went from doing $1 million a month to doing like, what I'm currently doing now. But it was not by doing more things. It was literally by doing one thing and doing it very, very well. And that was sales. So let me start from like the earliest challenge I faced was when I started, the market was ripe for it, so it was so much more easy. And if there's anything I would advise later on would be that it's always easier to choose a good market than to try to be the best, right? If you choose a good market, it's just so much more easier. You're going with the wave. If you're trying to be the best in a bad market, then you're going to swim against the wave, and that's a lot more harder. So for me, it was the fact that we're in the right market. But you see, this is what a lot of people don't realize. A business that anybody can pay money, let's say 40,000 naira, which means the barrier of entry is low, and they can take the same offer you're making, the same product you're making, sell it to your same audience. Now you are becoming a commodity. And what happens to commodities is that everybody now begins to compete on price because you're now going to go, who will be the lowest? Oh, you're selling your product for 40K. I'm going to sell mine for 30. I'm going to sell mine for 20. So what that happened was that a lot of people started coming into the market. And as at then, I did not know marketing like I know now. And so what that made me do was I realized that, okay, you know what? Maybe I just wanted to shift to a different model. So I started selling my own digital products. If I had stayed though, if I had stayed for like maybe a year plus, maybe I'll have made way more money than I did from just affiliate marketing. Who knows? I have students who did way more. A lot of students they did way more. But I wanted to move because I saw that this is exactly where it's going to get to, and I didn't want to play in that same field. So that was the first challenge. The market sophisticated really, really fast. People, came in, started making more crazy promises, all of that, and then it started giving like a bad rep, right? And so the next challenge I think I faced was staying focused, because one thing that you realize when you get into this business is that you just have to, if you find something that works, just do it and do it as long as possible. Do it. There are people who have made $1 million from selling socks. There are people who have made $1 million from selling software. There are people who have made $1 million from real estate. There are people who have made $1 million from digital products. There are people who have made $1 million from sales. What am I trying to say? If it comes to making money, there are people who have made, you can make money through any of these means. But you know what nobody has done is try to make $1 million from both sales, from both socks, from both this, from both that at the same time. My biggest challenge is basically focusing on one thing and saying no to the other great ideas and just sticking on that one amazing idea. So that's one of the biggest challenge also. Another challenge that I faced, especially when I shifted to high ticket sales, was because now I'm selling to foreigners. Nigeria has a bad rep for people who are scammers and all of that. So I had to ensure that my digital footprint was solid. Like if you Google me, if you check my Twitter, you see I have a brand I'm growing there. And that was for a reason. Because when I go online and I tell people that, okay, I can do this, I can help you with this, and they realize that you're a Nigerian, there's already a bad perception. But if they see that notable people respect you, are following you, trust you, and find you credible, then it's much more easier to gain respect from them. And that has worked to my advantage because I foresaw that and then I started building towards that. So these are some of the challenges that I have faced, and it's part of the business. I don't even see them as a challenge. It doesn't bother me at all, but for somebody coming behind me, it might be a challenge for them. It might think, and again, of course, it might be the occasional wanting to give up. And I tell people that that's the reason why people don't succeed. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. One thing I find really ridiculous, or that blows my mind is that you see somebody, you tell them, buy this product, go through this course and start implementing it. And then they think that they will go through it and maybe 1 month from now, and then they are supposed to be making money. Let me ask you this. When you went to school, right? You went to school, you spent 4 years in school, right? You came out, you went for NYC, and then you started applying for jobs. Did you feel like you were scammed? Do you feel like, maybe school was a scam? No, right? But I mean, school, when people tell you school is a scam, why? Because you pay all that money, at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed. But then you buy a course, and then you expect that in the next 1 to 3 months, you should be a guru, you should be making, gazillion dollars and all of that. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but it's not going to work. It doesn't work like that. If it was like that, everybody would be making money. It's not that it's it's supposed to be hard, right? It's supposed to be hard because if it was easy, everybody around you will be doing it. And so it's hard because you're supposed to filter those who are deserving of it. So one of the challenge, I would say challenge a lot of people would face is that they come in expecting it to be easy, but it's not. You're supposed to come in expecting it to be hard and telling yourself that irrespective of what you face, regardless of the situation that comes in, that you're not going to give up, you're not going to quit, and you're actually going to see it till the end. And so that's why I feel to me they are not challenges. It's just a product of the person who's coming to the program and the perception about the kind of results they should be getting. Okay, so if I was to advise an entrepreneur who's basically maybe you want to run a business or start something, there are three things I'll tell you to focus on. Is number one is to understand your market. And this is from like a marketing advice and all of that. First is to understand your market, right? Number two is to figure out how to get them to say no, not to say no, or make it difficult for them to say no. That means your offer, your sales process, all of that stuff has to be tight. And then you have to be able to find the people who need your product and your service and get it to them. So to kind of recap that, number one is choose the right market. Number two is make it difficult for that market to say no to what you have to offer. Number three is put it in front of that market, right? If you figure this out, you'll probably be able to solve majority of the challenges you face in business. But that's usually not the biggest problem for most entrepreneurs. The biggest challenge is always being able to show up every single day with the drive, with the vision, with the passion to continue. For a lot of people, they need a goal, a vision, a passion. For me, it's not. I literally just wake up every day and I'm like, this is what I have to do, this is what I'm doing, and then I just do it. But if you're not like that, then you need to have a reason to keep moving forward when it's tough, because it will get tough. It's entrepreneurship. Nothing is guaranteed, and that's the point, right? Nothing is guaranteed. So you have to realize that you have to believe somewhere in your mind, 100% belief that as you put in the effort, when you do the things that are right, those things that you're doing, they will yield results with time. So that's also one thing I want, people to have at the back of your mind. You cannot give up. It should not even be in your vocabulary, right? It should not even be in your vocabulary. Like, you need to know that this is, I'm in it to the last, especially when you know that that thing is going to produce results. Because in the moment you might look like a fool, but in retrospect you seem like a genius.